Hi, welcome to One Day to Love. Well, as you know, at the beginning of this podcast, I started it as One Date to Love about dating and relationships. And then I expanded it to One Day to Love, knowing that every day there is something to love. But still, underneath it all, I have a penchant for learning about dating since I was married for 20 years, and I'm not now. And it's been a while. And I've talked to a lot of people in their 40s to 60s who are in the same situation. So I wanted to share this woman who was the best wedding photographer in Maryland. Her name is Kimberly Simonetti, and she moved to Sarasota, Florida, and she started a matchmaking service. And it's called matchpro.com. And she's going to be our next guest. I wanted to ask her about how did she start this, first of all, but mostly what are the things they look for besides the obvious when trying to set up person A with person B? And I'm going to see how it works. And I thought maybe I'd like to share that with you because there's so many apps and we really don't know how they work. Sometimes people are sent to me that, well, I just can't imagine how they thought that could possibly work. And I'm sure there's others that have gotten me that have felt the same way. So let's hear what she has to say. Stay tuned. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent. How are
I'm
you?
fantastic. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So do you.
Thank,
Always,
thank,
always. So,
thank you. I just introduced you to the audience and I told them that you were the best wedding photographer in Maryland by a long shot, probably on the East Coast.
oh,
And
you're so sweet.
and I want to talk to you about how did you do that? I mean, there are so many photographers,
Mm.
and you were just like such a standout. And I've worked with great photographers before.
Well, thank you.
Harry Langdon was my favorite, of course, I think. Um, but Dick Zimmerman was magnificent. I mean, I've worked
Yeah.
with great people. I mean,
Oh, yes, you did. So it's a
yeah.
true compliment. Thank you
So
so
when I
much.
saw your pictures, I just was like, holy cow, and my sisters and everybody just went crazy for you.
Well, thank
But
you.
now you are Kimberly Simonetti. This is my audience. And at the beginning, we were a dating show, sort of. It was called One Date to Love, how
Hmm.
one date can change your life.
Hmm.
And and I had a lot of celebrity couples on who were talking about their relationships and what kept them together and how they met, etc. And then other people who had met somebody online, et cetera, et cetera. And then I decided to expand the conversation and call it
Uh-huh.
One Day to Love. There's always something to love every day, right? Something.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when I saw what you were doing, I was so excited because I have no idea how this works. So tell me how you started the company, and then we'll go into a little bit about how it works.
Okay. So, it all was a natural progression. I am a natural people connector.
Uh-huh.
And I think the years of training for photography um, that I've had in getting people to feel comfortable, right? It is definitely an art
It certainly
to
is.
relax people, just like you're doing with me, which is so lovely. Relax people, making them feel themselves and authentic so they can be in that space to work. So I wanted to pivot. I got into be my 50s and I was like, I want to transition into something. And you probably heard of this thing called Match.com.
Yeah.
Back in the late 90s, it was a new thing called Match.com. And my photography clients were coming to me and saying, I really love the images that you did for me. And I have this new dating experience. I'm single and I want to date. And so I need a photograph for my page, my format. And so it was such a natural thing for me to like, well, let me take pictures. And those people were finding people. So I figured there was something to that skill of doing that. And I take it even a step further because part of it, as you know, just to show up for a photograph. I mean, obviously you can do like more of a lifestyle kind of thing, which is always great. And that's what everything's pivoted to. Um, but to show up in your best self with your best photograph, with your best clothing, and to be an authentic person coming through, to exuding through the photography. Because as I had said to you before, I would imagine I've not been on a dating app unless I'm doing it for clients. And so I'm looking in a different way. You got 2 or 3 seconds, and if that photo doesn't capture you in some way, you are absolutely going to go to the next person. And so they could be the most perfect person with a bad photograph, and or maybe a bad singles profile, because they don't know what to write. It's kind of like speed dating, It's like that is like the
I've never done that. I never.
don't. It's I used to actually do it just to build my database, because it was all done organically. So that's to get back to your question. That was the crux of where I came from. It was photography that pivoted into matchmaking. And so this company was formed, and with literally a handful of people in a manila folder to a few thousand people within my database. And it was all done organically, with people that I've touched or indirectly touched, and that have joined my database. So
Through your
that's how it
photography?
started. What's
You
that?
mean through your photography, through
No,
people?
well, no, well, the photography was part of it, but it really was people that started to come to me like, hey, do you know anybody? Because I'm a connector. So I was
Yeah.
always out business meetings, this, that, um, and my interest of helping people find love, helping people find the relationship they're looking for. And so it has taken me on a full journey as well.
I'll bet.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of training, worked with a lot of professionals. If you've ever heard of Rachel Greenwald, she has worked in the singles industry, and she has written a book, and she's a Harvard grad, and she's phenomenal. I've studied with her, a bunch of other people as well.
I'll have
That
to
was
get her
part
on
of
the
it.
show because that would be a good addition.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, and you will absolutely love her. She's so wonderful and so awesome. But
How do
anyway,
you
so
get to be a professional at this? I mean, what makes a person a professional?
right. Well, that's a good question. One thing is you want make sure you definitely have training, because it
What
is
kind of training do you
what
have
kind of
to be a matchmaker? I mean, this used to be what in Fiddler on the Roof there was a matchmaker. I mean,
yeah.
I just don't get it.
And it's still done that way in the
Is it?
really Orthodox Jewish religion. You're not considered a match. You're not considered really knowing or meeting anyone unless you go to that matchmaker and you get sanctioned in the proper introduction. And they have a very quick dating process. Literally, it's a matter of 3 or 4 dates. I'm not even exaggerating. They really don't even know each other, but they're like, okay, this is what you want. They talk business, and they're like, okay, then we're going to get this together. We're going to work in those really extreme Orthodox Jewish religions. And I think the Muslims still offers that kind of thing as well. So it really is a different process than what we do. What I do is really just to get the essence of people. Are they realistic about what they're looking for? And then help them on their journey, vet and navigate those people and having the conversations. I could have the absolute perfect person for you, but they may not be ready. They may be having a life crisis. They may have a sick parent or a child or a work crisis, and they're just not in headspace to meet you. So the last thing I want to do is waste an introduction with somebody that needs more time and it's not right yet
That makes sense.
to bring them to the table.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Also, part of being a matchmaker in this way, I'm very connected with matchmakers literally worldwide. So, if you said
Y'all
to
are a
me,
cult?
well, in a way, we have WhatsApp kind of thing going on. We have meetings, we have national, international conventions.
How
That I,
fun.
yeah, it's so
That's
fun.
wonderful. I just came back from Milwaukee. I was a guest of the GOP convention.
Oh, were you
And,
really?
yeah, and it was really, really a blast.
I
Whether
bet.
you're for or against anybody that's running, one of these conventions is just absolutely magnificently fun. All these people with all
Uh-huh.
this patriotism,
Yes,
and love for country and
that's a
just
big
hope for
deal.
the future. And it was just like, yay! yay, no matter who you're yaying for, I mean, in that particular case, it was Donald Trump and JD Vance. But but
Right.
but I would assume that anytime you go to one of these conventions, you're with so many people who have so much
Mhm.
hope for the future. And
Yes.
for me, it was a real wonderful experience.
Oh, that is so awesome. I think it's kind of like a Super Bowl. You have to attend at least once in your life,
Yes,
right? Because
exactly.
it is fanatic and the energy. And I'm a big person. I feed off of people's energy.
Me
I just love
too. I
that.
was so happy. Every day I had a new
Yeah.
a new badge, a new hat, a new place to go, new friends. It was just absolutely terrific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I can
anyway,
imagine if y'all get together, there's a lot of synergy.
there really is. And there are definitely, current things happening, like, you're getting into the dating world, things that are changing all the time, like AI. AI is playing a very big part in the dating industry these days, where,
How's that? Are they changing people's faces or their photos?
well, to an extent, but a lot of, responses are done with AI now.
They are?
People are, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. It's a good and bad thing. There are people out there that maybe don't have the wherewithal to really put together a dating profile that maybe can, and there's certainly somebody that you would want to meet. And then there's people really truly pretending to be something that they're not.
Huh.
So you have to navigate all of that. And as a
Intelligence is
matchmaker,
incredibly important to me, and literacy and the ability to write.
that's huge. Absolutely, and I agree with you.
So if they get
Uh,
some AI machine to make it
right.
sound like they're really good,
Yeah.
prolific writers, and then I read
Yeah.
that and I think, oh, wow, this is really great. And then
Yeah.
I find out that they can't put two sentences together on paper.
It could
That's
be a
terrible.
problem. It is, but it's going to becoming a thing. It's in its infancy still, but it's a thing that's out there and something else to be concerned about in both ways, right? So, part of what these conventions do is bring that to the forefront, different techniques of people, trying different things to ascertain love and relationships. And really, helping people more than anything, um, mature enough. Like I said, it was a journey. I consider what I do very akin to getting a college degree, right? You can pay any amount of money into any institution, and sometimes people really need no work. They really are right out of the box, and they just need somebody to kind of navigate like a realtor and find people for them. But the majority of people, they're single for a reason. And it's not that they're not worthy of a relationship, but just so happens it might be that maybe their clothing is off, their hair, the way they talk, they don't let people get a word in edgewise. They might need to go on the journey of learning how to have the art of conversation, because oftentimes people want to spill their guts out, and it's like getting vomited on with information, right? If it like, you should like me, I'm the best at that, it's just like it's way too much, right?
Or talking about your ex, or talking about your divorce, or talking about your kids, or I mean, there's so many things that I know,
Yes.
I just know not to get into that, and asking
Yeah.
questions is a good thing. I think asking questions about people that you're with, and they like to
Oh,
talk about
yes.
themselves. So you ask them, well, how did you get into that business? And when did you start to have a penchant for that business? When did you start to develop a love for that? Why
Yeah.
did you start to develop something for, like, I met somebody in nuclear energy recently. So I mean, that was a good question for me to ask. When did you get involved in the interest in nuclear energy? Wow.
Yeah.
That's an unusual thing.
Very. Mhm.
Um, but there's also you do want people to know about, I want people to know about me,
Of course.
because if they don't like it, then I
Right.
don't want them. I'm
Correct.
not interested in changing myself for anybody.
Nope. Nope.
And I don't think anybody should do that for me either. Unless it's,
Correct.
let's try Chinese food. And, I mean, that's one
Right.
thing, but a big huge
Yeah.
characteristic of yourself
Right. Right.
by this time in your life is something that you've developed and you know you have and you want to keep it. Now, if there's
Yeah.
something you want to change, you should make that decision on your own too. It
Correct.
can't be
Correct.
from somebody else. But when
Correct.
you said everybody's single for a reason, that makes me feel bad because I'm single because my husband died,
Correct.
and it was 5 years ago.
Yes.
But the first 2 years was pandemic.
Oh, the worst.
So we were all locked in a house for 2 years because I'm in
Well, at least you
California.
had your girls. I saw your interview with Lucy and you had your girls. So that
Yeah,
was like a gift that
was
you had
very
them with you.
lucky, very lucky.
Yes.
And now I
Yes.
don't, which really stinks.
It
But that was horrible.
is horrible.
And then the next, it's been 3 more years, and I have had one really good relationship during that period of time that didn't
And
work.
how long was that one?
6 months,
Okay. Hmm.
but it didn't work out. And I just haven't been interested in anyone else. You know what I mean? So
You feel like you fully healed?
from both of them, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, your husband, I mean, listen, I mean, when I said single for a reason, I don't mean, I think widows and widowers are a special thing. The circumstance, you didn't choose that, right? When you choose something, it's different than when something happens to you. So I'm talking about referring to people that have chosen to be single,
I
right?
see. Yeah, I get it.
And so that's a very big distinction. And oftentimes I'm really careful with my people that have lost a love interest in that way, whether they're married or not, their significant other, because oftentimes they want to get back into that relationship because they love the idea of marriage and what it represents and the feeling and the emotional connection that we also desperately seek. And they sometimes can go down the garden path, if you will, and thinking something that really isn't. And, and they miss sometimes the red flags. But it sounds like you played out that relationship for the 6 months and it didn't go in the direction that you were thinking. So you're better for it and you learned another life lesson, right?
It
That
was
you've
hard
taken
because I
away.
really thought it was going in that direction, and then all of a sudden it was over, and I was shocked.
Oh, so it was not your choice.
No. So I realized I was out of practice,
Yeah, see.
20
Mhm.
some years out of practice.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good
now
thing.
I've had a little bit of practice.
Yeah.
Um, it's very hard for me to find myself attracted to someone else. It's very difficult. I don't know why, but it's just, I think, do people still look for what they looked for in high school?
Sometimes, yes.
And is
And
that
I
stupid?
well, so here's the thing, it's stupid. Listen,
You're like,
you
where's your hair? I don't like it. Why do you have all this gray
right.
hair on your face? I don't like it. Why do you have this big belly? I don't like it. You just keep, and then you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, well, I'm not exactly what I was in high school either.
Right. We all are.
So, so, so I try to be forgiving,
Mhm.
and then I remember I dated so many people because I didn't get married till I was 37, and I was very,
Right.
very picky. And I want a person that's got a soul that I love, and a
Mhm.
belief in God that I love, and
Mhm.
wants to meet my kids, and I want to meet their kids. But things come up like if they have kids and you get married to them, when they die, are they going to leave anything to you, or are they going to leave everything to their kid? Is your kid going to have any support from what they have? Are you going to have any support for their children? I think it's complicated. What do you think
Well,
about that?
you're now seasoned, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you've gone through what you've gone through. And so it's part of like one of the life lessons that you were taught.
my dog. Lola, hush. Sorry.
I love the name.
Yeah.
But it's part of your life lesson. And so now that's just part of your journey to help you get where you need to go now. And you need to look differently at people in a different way because as you know, marriage is a business, not just a love journey. And so those things need to be discussed. But first things first, and I often say when you're in the early stages of dating, it is a movie. So I go back to like dumping all the information on you, but you should be like doing it like a dance, like a seasoned meal. You add a little bit of seasoning and then you add a little bit more. And you sit back and you watch. You don't hand all your cards over because what you have on your side is time, right? You have time to date. That's why it's called dating and not marriage, because it is a time for you to watch. How are they treating the wait staff? How are they actually acting in public? What if there's an uncomfortable situation or something's very stressful? I often say you should probably maybe go on a trip if it's getting serious, because trips, as wonderful as they are, can be very stressful, right?
Yeah.
Planes don't take off. Are they making a fun game out of it? Are they keeping, are you laughing about it? Are you enjoying the journey? So it's all part of it. You should be looking at that. If something's going sideways and you got some red flags and some things in your stomach that are not adding up, it means that you need to take a better look at that and maybe move on.
I see. I see.
So that's like, the crux of what I tell people that is in the beginning of anything is that look and watch and see and still participate. And you give them the same thing. It's a little bit at a time when it's appropriate. And even like there's a big theory of getting intimate with people, that it should be a minimum of 12 dates, 12 real dates. Do you want to get into that? Because once you open that door of intimacy, it all changes. You're putting toothpaste back in the tube. It doesn't go that way. It goes out and in, right? So as wonderful as all of that is, you really need to do it within time, when it's time and when it's ready. And there should be no set time. I mean, it doesn't mean it's 12, but minimum of 12, so you can really get to understand someone if you think you want to go in that direction.
What do you think about when someone says online, a lot of times they'll say, I want a long-term relationship and I want to get married. And then there's another app I have that I was on that says long-term open to short, short-term open to long. What does that mean?
It means it's probably looking for just a side hustle just to have some fun. That's my interpretation.
That's short-term open to long, I think. The side hustle.
Yeah, could be.
Long-term open to short means if you're not interested in getting together for a long time, I'll get together with a short time. That'd be fine with me. I think that's what that one means.
It probably is.
Yeah, there's so many strange. What do you think about long distance relationships?
So long distance has its place and time. And I think it can be very romantic and it could be very healthy in an early stage, because you're emotionally getting attached, right? And you're still able to still see it. But I say until you're really in front of people and you spend a bit of time with somebody, you should never be making any life decisions other than this is good right now for me. It feeds my soul and my heart. And this is okay for now. And that's all you need to know for now.
I want to move.
Well, that's okay.
I don't want to be in California for another couple of years unless I get on a nighttime television show and I'm making oodles of money. They're going to take my pension. They're going to take my Social Security. They're going to
So where do you want to go?
Someplace better than that. Okay, like Nevada, Arizona. I'd really love to be in Florida. It'd be fun to be with you.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean any place that's got a better. I like Tennessee. My family's in Maryland. They also have a place.
Right.
Florida is my favorite choice.
So where in Florida?
I lived in Boca for a long time with my husband. We had 5 houses at one point. So we had a place in Ohio and a place in Connecticut that was mine, and then a place in New York. One was mine, one was ours. And then we had a place in Florida, and I loved living there. The kids went to preschool there. I have a couple of friends there. It's changed a lot, like everything else, which is really not very nice of the world to change on like that. I came out here and I was like, where is everybody? Everybody where they were 20 years ago, and they are not. They're not. And things are really different in California. I mean, really, really different, not for the better. It's a shame.
Yeah, I have to agree with you in that way. It's very challenging.
Yeah, but I still love Florida. My parents have a place in Pompano Beach.
Oh, okay.
And my girlfriend, one of my best friends who just had a grandbaby. I'm dying to get back to see her new son, her new grandson, Bryson is his name. Um,
Cute.
yeah, I know. And I have another girlfriend with a grandbaby named Bryson.
Oh my gosh, that
I
must be
know
your
it
name.
must be like the new cool name, I love it. When I named my daughter Bella, there were no Isabellas except Isabella Rossellini. And after I named
Yes.
her Isabella, everybody named their child
Yes.
Isabella. So
That
now
and Sophia. Yeah.
I'm at a shopping center and I'm hearing Bella, 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 and I'm like, what, crazy. So, anyway, so I do want to move. So I don't know whether I should look for people there or look for people here that are willing to move. And I don't want to make this about me. In general, I think I'm not alone, that we all
No.
are willing or would like to live someplace else. So if you try to hook up with somebody that lives close to you and they're ensconced here, they're
They're
never
not going
in
anywhere.
California, never, ever.
Right.
So is that a good idea or should you wait or look?
So I listen, I look at it like this. I say every opportunity, dating, meeting anybody could be the avenue of you meeting your future life, right? So when you live in an authentic world and you be yourself, then I think that's going to come and create. Now, what I would suggest for you if you want to move, are you willing to travel for dates?
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so and
I
if you
prefer
are
it.
in
I
those
prefer it.
cities,
I don't want
yeah,
anybody stopping by my house without knocking, without calling it anyway. Knocking is a
yeah. Yeah, well, I think where you are, you're in Palm Springs at 123 degrees. They're
right
outside.
now.
They're melting.
The rest of the year, it's really nice though. Rest of the
I'm
year.
sure it's gorgeous the rest of the year, but this is your winter, I guess. So you kind of hibernate inside.
Yep, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't make
But
chili.
no, no, don't make
I
chili.
miss
You're gonna
making chili. I really do.
vichyssoise.
I love, yes, exactly. Watermelon soup. I love living in Connecticut. I love New York. I like the Northeast a lot. I just don't like 6 months of winter.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I feel your pain. That's why I moved to Sarasota. So the Gulf
I
Coast is a little different. It's not as flashy. It's not as showy. There's a lot of quiet money here. And it is really very nice, but it's more of a small town, which
Mhm.
I
That's
prefer,
nice. I like
and a
that.
city that I can actually go downtown and feel safe in.
Right. Isn't that
So
nice?
it's
And it
very
takes
nice.
4 hours to drive to the other side. I
Yeah, it's
remember
not far.
it was nothing.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I
Not a big
love
deal.
that. Right.
So what I would suggest is look into those other places. I also would say, join my database, and there's plenty of other people that have databases in different cities that Miami, Boca, that kind of thing, where people are always looking for people, right? And so with the matchmaking world, either you're hiring a matchmaker to scout and look, much like a concierge, where they're helping cultivate the introductions, or you're going to try to do this yourself on apps and different things like that. So be your own advocate and get into finding other avenues in those places that you think you want to visit, and start working in that world,
Mhm.
because there could be somebody absolutely perfect for you, another widower situation, equal, and people are ready when they're ready. Because I would imagine in the first 2 years, like you had said, forget about the pandemic, you probably emotionally were not ready. You could have met the
First
perfect
three, I had
person.
no interest at all. Nothing.
Right. You could have met the perfect person and it never would have worked because emotionally you were not there.
Mm-mm. Not at
So,
all. Not at all.
right.
Um, so for my listeners or watchers, either way, we're on all the different podcast channels. Um, I know that the apps, there are some that are free.
Yes.
There are some that you pay a couple $100s for. There are some
Right.
that you pay more than a couple $100s for.
Right.
There are some where they supposedly, and I mean that supposedly, screen people for you.
Mhm.
And I've never been very happy with, I'm usually happy with like the first five that I'm sent. And then after that, it's just like, are you kidding? It's not. they're just not doing a good job. And I think there's no one I don't think there's a person in charge. I think there's more of a
There isn't.
kind of an algorithm or who knows what.
Mhm.
But it's silly. So, um, I know that it's just lunch is like $3,000 or more to go have. Is that a quick thing? A quick kind of a deal?
So let me go over the different variations of matchmakers because there are.
Okay.
So if you can think of matchmaking in the terms of restaurants, you'd say like Talkify, It's Just Lunch, those kinds of businesses, oftentimes, and if it really is less expensive, and those tend to be in the less expensive realm. I mean, they try to sell you on premium and $25,000, $30,000 and the reality is they'll have a matchmaker and they might have 70 people as a caseload. So you can imagine how much attention that you're going to get, number one. Number two, they're going to just be sending you almost like the dating apps, people, because I don't want to get sued. So they're going to send you 10 people. They're going to be plopping off 10 people, and they're just going to basically be in an age range in an area where you live. Once in a while, they get lucky, and I'm not saying they don't have success. They do, because I'm not talking poorly about them. It's just that's how they work, right? Then you get into more of boutique matchmaking, which is kind of what I do. And so I'm interested in casting a very large net. I want anybody and everybody to join my database. It's thematchpro.com. Join it. It is absolutely free. And I've had people that have not paid me a penny that have found love in relationships. So,
How does that
uh,
work? Do we look, if and you said there's others people
mhm,
in other cities where you can join
yes,
their database for free, right? You said?
yes, oftentimes.
Okay. So
Now,
those people are
mhm,
looking through their database
yeah. So say
for
Bill
to
hires
match
me.
people. They're looking through
Yes,
their own database or other
yes,
people's databases
yes,
to hook people together.
correct.
Okay.
So say I have Bill that hires me, and
Mhm.
Bill's looking for physically these things, which obviously is important. But more importantly for me, I want to find emotionally, where's the connection? And I've been usually pretty spot on when I take care. I don't offer everybody a membership. I don't care how much money you have. If I don't have a minimum of 10 people in my database that fit what you're looking for, I'm not taking you because I don't want to be on the other side of that. So I may get through those 10 people and none of them might be, the right fit scenario. And then sometimes I'll tap into other people's. Like you had mentioned, you're in California, Palm Springs right now, but you want to go to Florida. So there are matchmakers that, have clients in different places and they say, hey, I have a client that wants to be here or there. And who do you have? And, tap my, like I have a huge database still in the DMV area, which you know what that is. So the Delaware, Maryland,
Mhm,
Virginia,
mhm.
Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. So oftentimes matchmakers will ping me and say, hey, this is my client and who do you have? And then we help each other. We network within our databases and we will vet those people. There is a charge for that we pay each other. Sometimes they're coming from clients and what they're charging, and that's why it depends on what the fees are,
This
right?
sounds like a lot of fun. Are you enjoying it?
I am. It's fun when I can get the match and
Yeah.
everything is good. And then when you don't, and it's the journey of helping people, like I said before,
Mhm.
maybe not dressing appropriately. Like I've had people dress like they're going to a cocktail party at Starbucks. They just look crazy, right? They look crazy. They don't look like, oh, my best. This is what I look like.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line and it's a journey that we have to go on together. And I get in the trenches with you and I want you to be your best self. And I'm your cheerleader and I'm to go to bat for you, and help you navigate the waters.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And that's what a true boutique matchmaker does. I'm not interested in just throwing people at you because you gave me a couple bucks and I need to fulfill my contract. And that's how a lot of matchmakers work. And if they tell you they have thousands of people, I have thousands of people too. But how many, like on paper, it might look away, but how many of those people, after more of an in-depth conversation that we have, would be the right fit and the right introduction for you? Right? And has to be vice versa. They have to want what you're looking for, both. So
what if people haven't been in, what if men, for instance, haven't put themselves in your database and you see them or you meet them or you hear about them or something? Do you have to wait or can you invite them to?
Well, no, actually, if I get a lead, I'm pretty relentless. I will really start tapping it. One of the things I've been doing that's been kind of interesting, I don't have one in front of me right now, but I'm actually been hitting cigar bars, like upscale
Oh,
cigar
great
bars.
idea.
Yeah, and so I have little matchsticks that say strike a match. And
I love that.
Isn't that fabulous?
That's
And so I've
fabulous.
been getting a lot of fodder because a lot of those people, they don't know where to go.
No,
They
of
don't
course
necessarily
not.
want to hang out in a bar. They'll
Mm.
go, they like cigars or whatever. They'll go smoke their cigars and hang out and talk, and they're all single and they have means and they don't know what to do with themselves. So I'm trying to get them filtered in. But if I have a way in, an email, a phone number, I will ping them and just say, "Hey, I'm Kimberly Simonetti and I own a matchmaking company. And I just want to learn about you. You came up in my world and I just want to learn about you and let you know about what I do. And if you're interested in just being in my database at no charge,
So
because it's,
agents are something I'm familiar with, of course, for
yes,
so many, my God, 40 years in show business.
yeah,
Um, and you can't just be in their database, right?
right,
But you can join like Actors Access or Backstage or something like that, where you put
right.
your face and you put your resume, and if if a casting person wants to go in there and see you, they can, right?
Hmm.
And if you see a job you'd like to submit from there, you can.
Hmm.
Is there a group of you all that are in a society or a club or a
Yeah, yeah.
agency or
So that's
something?
Matchmakers Alliance, that I'm
Okay.
an active member in, and I attend their conferences, and we network with each other. There's Global Love, that's based
Oh,
out in New York, and they work I think they have sometimes seminars in Singapore and London, as well as New
oh.
York. And then the Love MBA with Rachel Greenwald. And again, it's more boutique, and we're just more in the trenches with our sisterhood and brotherhood of matchmakers. Whatever it is, we all have our specialty. So if you came to me and you were gay, I don't personally handle gay. I love and agree. People, I don't care, but I will hand you to a colleague that has a big gay database. So
Fantastic.
yeah, I just want to help people. I want to be
I'm
the
in I mean, I'm very close to Palm Springs, and it's a very gay community. And
yeah,
I will tell some of my friends
yeah.
about that because
I would
you
love
could
for them to
send
join my
me if you
database.
send me the things you just mentioned, I'll put
Okay,
them in the comment section on the YouTube
okay.
page so that people can check it out, you know.
Yeah, that
And then
would
all
be
the
awesome.
information about you would be
Yes,
very helpful too.
yes.
So how many people have you put together that you've been successful with or that you know of people that have been successful?
So before I got into matchmaking officially, where I was card holding, I have 6 people that are still in committed loving relationships. 6
Before you
couples.
became a matchmaker?
Before, well, it was a natural thing for me. Yes. So there's 6 people.
You were good at it, period.
I just was naturally good at putting people together.
That is
So
so cool.
yeah, so that
That's
was
a
like
real
that.
talent. I mean, that's like if you could,
It is.
that's a talent.
Yeah, and then when I started like learning about matchmaking and wanted, I was like, this is like in my dream world. I
My
just love
DNA,
connecting
yeah.
people, right? So then this all came about. It started, and so to answer your question, professionally matchmaking, there's probably been about 25 couples that I put
Wow.
together.
Wow.
Um, so give or take, and then, I consider success, I'm running about an 87% success rate. A success is a relationship of 6 months or longer
That's
that lasts,
great.
which whether sometimes they get married and sometimes they just want to live together.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's really great.
yeah, yeah.
87%. My gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I'm careful, like I said, about who I take.
yeah.
So just because you enter my database, and I do have a preferred resource membership, which is $300, it gives me a deeper dive to do a study on you to see, there's questions that I would ask that are not on my profile that's pretty lengthy. It helps fill out my algorithm rhythms when I am working. But it helps, it helps sometimes you formulate what you're looking for too. But anyway, so that's $300 just to be in a deeper dive resource. And when I mentioned that I have other matchmakers in the country and out of the country that sometimes I'll collaborate with, I will also, besides my clients, will bring the preferred resource people to the table too. Because I've had a better understanding of them. I take notes, I put it in their file. So I get a essence of their heart and what they're looking for. And so as I'm talking to matchmakers and colleagues, I will say, oh, might be a good conversation to have with her for Mark, hypothetically. So
Yeah, that's great. What is your feeling about people that have had um, divorces versus widower experiences? Are they more apt to really want to reconnect with somebody on a long-term basis, or are they gun
I
shy?
think if well, there's a couple different things. Sometimes with divorce situations, as you know, sometimes mutually you just fall out of love, and that's the best case scenario. Oftentimes there's been abuse or infidelity and different things like that, and you really need to heal from those aspects. And I think unless you, as much as you want to be in the idea of marriage and have that, unless you're really truly healed from those pitfalls, it's going to be impossible for you to really find someone, right? Because you think you're good, but you're not.
Mhm.
And that's all part of what it is and helping people recognize that. But as far as widowers, I usually have pretty good success with them because they're usually realistic. They're come from a healthy background. They don't really have a lot to heal from. Listen, I'm sure there's probably some things with your husband. You adored him and loved him, but you probably didn't love very much about that or that part of the relationship. As like anything else, nothing's 100%, right? But it's what you can live with that each of you, bring to the table.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, my sister was chosen by this, elite-ish, elite-ish site, and was Tamra, and was put on the VIP list, there. And so then she told me to join that one. So I did. But I just really, it's just really not the way. I don't think I'm going to meet anybody that way. But anyway, so she did meet somebody,
And
and
she did from
yeah,
that.
and she's
Yeah.
engaged now, which I'm so
Oh, that's so
excited. And
exciting. I'm so happy for her.
I just love him. Yeah, I just love him to pieces.
Yeah.
And we just came back from my mom's, and it was wonderful. Um,
Yeah.
but
So
but
he was there. So you liked him
I
equally.
love him. I love
Oh,
him. I
good.
think he's taking
You've
really
met
good
him
care of
before.
her. Yeah, I met him a couple times before, and she broke her ankle.
Oh, I saw that.
And did you? And so he has taken such good care of her.
Oh,
And seeing that, that did it for me.
it gives you hope, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did it for me, for him,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm very protective of my younger sisters, and he really treated her well, and that's
Oh,
what I want from my sisters. So of course,
and
uh,
yourself,
yeah,
really,
you
all the
know,
women, right?
yeah, but I just really was happy that this worked out. This was working out. Yeah.
I'm so happy for her, and
Oh.
I figured she would be a great candidate. And yes, there are those companies because you have the people that do have money and they use matchmaking correctly. And that, like I've had plenty of CEOs and people that are extremely affluent in business world. They really have no trouble meeting people. That's not the problem, but they
Mhm.
don't want everybody in their business, so they'll use matchmakers correctly, and they don't have to have those conversations or like the friends like, hey, you never called my sister again, or like, what's going on, you know what I mean? They don't want anybody in their business, and this way they
Right.
can really navigate and date correctly.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, so I am happy and I'm not surprised, because people like her, there is a big, little, petite, beautiful blonde women that are
Yeah,
happy and
but she
healthy,
worked
and
hard at it. She dated a lot of people. Let me tell you, she was
she
like
did. Well, she's been
picky,
through an
picky.
awful lot, right?
Yeah, and she did. She's been great. She's just great. I'm so happy that she's doing
Um,
that.
I'm so happy for her as well.
What about when there's children involved and they really don't want? I mean, you'll see where it'll say, "I have children, and I don't mind if you have children."
Hmm.
Um, I have children and sometimes they live at home. That always makes me go, because I don't know if I want that again.
Hmm.
But I love it when people have had children, you know.
Hmm.
But sometimes they don't want their mom or dad to be with anyone else. They have
It's hard.
some idea that the person is going to get back together with the other person, if it's not a death
Mhm.
situation. It's just a terror. It's really terrible when children don't really want their parents to be happy.
Well, I
Um,
don't think they understand. And I honestly think it gets back to kind of getting right with yourself and explaining to them and feeling them out and letting them be part of the process to an extent.
mhm.
Much like I'm sure your children don't want you to pick out their mates,
Right.
but you do respect their opinions, and where they're going and who they bring home.
Mhm.
You want to get to know them, and you would want the same in return. And I think if you have an intellectual conversation with the children and everybody be on the same team, and it's not about settling, it's about finding the right person and being happy and getting that emotional and family connection.
I just think it's really important for kids to know
Yes.
that their parents deserve to be happy.
Oh,
And it's
yes.
not and it's not okay for
No,
for them to dictate when and where and how the
correct.
parent is going to date or move forward. It's not any of their business, honestly.
Correct.
Um, and if they prefer not to meet the person, that's fine. If they prefer not to be involved early on, that's great. If they don't ever want to meet them, that's not so great. If they want you to wait until you're really sincere, like serious before they meet them, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's fair enough.
But to not want your parent to be with anyone for
Right.
for some kind of a arbitrary 5 years. This is nuts.
Right.
And I've
Yeah.
seen that, and I've seen that, and it's caused a lot of pain with people.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's not okay. It's not okay. By the
No.
way, when you said about working through things, I don't know if you've seen my show with Nadine Macaluso, but
No, not yet. I haven't.
it's fabulous. She knows about trauma bond relationships. So
Yes.
if people have been through divorces and they do have residual pain or residual issues,
Yes.
she is so specific about how to move forward, how to get out of it, how to treat yourself, how to look out for those things, how to watch for the red flags you mentioned.
Yes.
It's really a great book called Run Like Hell.
Yes.
I love the name of the book. And she's such a beautiful woman. And you're like, what are you talking about? When you first see, it's this pink book, this beautiful woman, it says Run Like Hell on it. It's just, the dichotomy is great. But she's very, very smart. She's a doctor. She's got several degrees. She's really, really good at this. So if you meet somebody that's got those problems, you might want to suggest that book to them.
Oh, definitely.
It
There's
was
the
really
whole host of
helpful.
books.
It was
Yeah,
very
the
helpful
whole
to
host of things. And a lot of it is like this journey and healing yourself and getting right within your world. So, um, whether it's reading or developing bonds, and there's lots of actually online dating, like support groups.
really.
Um, yeah, Michelle Jacoby, she's from DC. She wrote this book, which is really awesome book. And
Oh, I
she,
love that. Never waste time on the wrong man again.
yeah,
Oh,
she
that's
has
great.
a support group.
I'm sorry, I didn't say the name of the last one that you held up because I'm
Oh,
visual. And if people are listening on the podcast, they need
oh,
to hear, have him
which,
at hello, Confessions from a Thousand Guys about what makes them fall in love or never call back by
yeah,
Rachel Greenwald. So I just want to make sure I give that a plug. And
yes.
and then this one is by whom?
This is Michelle Jacoby.
Okay.
And she's based
Waste
out of
time on the
DC.
wrong man again. 5-step strategic plan to stop wasting time and finally find the one. Wow.
It's
These are
giving you
great
tools.
books. Look at you. I love this. Thank you. I've got my weekend reading all set up.
I'll send you some more too. I have like Marry Him. This is all good. A lot of these authors I've met. This is a really good one. How Not to Die Alone with Logan Ury. Logan is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mentioned this to someone the other day. They were like, I don't ever want to get married. I don't ever want to get, he's like, I'm never going to meet anybody. I haven't dated in 15 years. I'm not. And I said, you don't deserve to die by yourself.
Correct.
Not that that's the reason to get with someone, but that's an important thing to keep in mind. I mean, I watched my husband take his last breath. I was holding him when he did that, and I would appreciate it if someone was there for me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it's not all about, you know, cotton candy and stars. I mean, a lot of times there's stuff that happens, and it's really important to show up for someone and have someone show up for you.
Yeah.
That's not the fun part. That's the later part, you know. But it's worth going through the fun part to get to that, you know, and it's important
Yeah.
to have the fun part to get to that.
Right.
I don't want to have to hire somebody to hold my hand,
No,
you
no,
know.
but you have beautiful daughters that I'm
I
sure
have
you,
a wonderful family, and I don't think that's ever
yeah,
going to happen, but I do think people need to keep that in mind.
they do.
And when you see people like Warren Beatty, my God, remember Warren Beatty?
Oh,
He
yes.
he was single for what? Forever,
Ever.
right?
62 years old, I think, when he got
Yeah.
married.
And then he meets Annette
Crazy.
Bening, and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. And he gets married. Amazing. Right. And they're happy as they can be, it seems like.
Yes,
And I don't know what the deal was. I don't know what the difference was. I mean, there were so many people. He went out with everybody. I mean, truly.
he did.
And he was like the last bachelor, right? And George Clooney,
George Clooney's a big example.
a great
Yeah.
example. He dated everybody in the world. And then finally he decided, I guess, I have a feeling it's an age thing. I have a feeling
Could
that
be.
they might finally go, you know,
Yes.
because they've had so many opportunities with so many
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And I think that that's important.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm in a business where there's so many beautiful people around. And then you'll find a Jennifer Lopez who's been
Yes.
married so many times, and it
Yes.
goes for a little while and then it's over, and it goes for a little while and then it's over. And we're all going, please, I hope this one lasts. But sometimes you wonder if people really want it to last. Maybe they just want to have the really fun part, and then they don't really want to.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of it is we're such a throwaway society.
Uh-huh.
And I think when the going gets rough, let's face it, I'm sure your marriage was great, but you may have hit some tough patches. I mean, you
Tons,
mentioned you have,
tons of them. Yeah.
right, but you had the
I lost two
integrity.
houses. I had the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah, yeah, you did. But the rough patch of other people's children and trying to marry that in with your family,
Very difficult.
that's got to be very challenging. I mean, sometimes the rough patches, people just can't get past them and they're like, next. It doesn't work that way. If you're really in it for the long haul and you're a person of integrity and you're a good person, you stick with it and you have that conversation. You work in that way. You know that you're together as a unit.
Is it a red flag if somebody hasn't been married in a long time, or if they don't
Not
want
necessarily.
to know? Okay.
Yes, no. I think that people are ready when it's time. I once took a widower that didn't get married till he was 53, and I thought, oh my goodness. And he was married for 13 years and adored his wife. But the reason he didn't marry is because he was working full time and he had aging parents that he was caring for. And he
Okay.
did not want to give his extra time to a relationship. He wanted to devote a time to his parents. And then when they passed away, then he found someone and
Wow.
got married. And unfortunately, she didn't last. She passed away. But yeah, what a great guy. He was one of
Yeah.
the ones that I really helped him because he really wanted the relationship and he gave it his all. And he really was so earnest and kind. And I felt like, I was like, hey, I think this is a red flag. You need like this is the conversation you're having with her, because we would process some of the dates sometimes. It's like you really need to really look at this and ask this question and look for that, to help him in his journey, because he wanted it to be right. He wanted to get back into that loving, caring relationship again.
You have to work with people that are in your neighborhood, like in your, do you expand
No,
to?
well, I've got DMV and now I'm working Sarasota. So I'm filling in my Sarasota with the cigar bar people and different things. There's a lot of singles down here. So,
Well, I
um,
love Virginia. Keep me in mind. I love
oh,
Virginia.
Virginia.
I love Virginia. Yep, love Virginia because it's close to my mom. I'm very
Yes.
political. I've always been political. And I love it. It's a great and I met Glenn Youngkin. I met Glenn Youngkin at the
Oh, did you?
for the second time at the GOP convention. I really like him. I think he's wonderful.
Okay. Well, so those are the venues I would tell you, if you believe something, whether it's church or political or whatever it is, work those crowds, and
Everybody
say,
was married. My mother said, "Are you going to bring home a politician?" And I said, Mom, they're all married. It looks better when they run for something if they're
yes,
family people. So I said,
right.
don't hold your breath. And she was laughing. She's like, I was really expecting you to bring somebody home. I said, Mother, And the other thing with me is when I met my husband, I had become everything I wanted to marry. I had my own home, my own car, my
Yes.
own
Smart.
401k, my own dog, my own cat, my own everything. And
Weren't
great
waiting for
job,
somebody
great.
to bring it to you.
I was done.
Yeah.
So now I have to remake all those things. I have to
Yes.
redo that. And so
Reinvent yourself.
but I've been trying to get back everything I had before. And we had a 6-month strike. Um, and the 2 years. So it's been very, very hard. I've been writing a lot and I have done two things. I did Destination Heaven, which is out now. I did the second episode of that. And I did a film
Oh,
called The Last Culprit. And I've got some other things on the burner, but I'd like to make films again. The movie I made, I had made into a HD version. So it's been on Stars. It's done quite well. And we just sold it in Germany again for the
oh, wonderful.
yeah. So, but it's taking time, to recreate my whole self again.
Yes.
And it's a full-time job. So
Yes.
if I meet somebody, sometimes they'll say, and I'm saying this for everybody at home, if do they want someone who's working full time? Let's say you're meeting somebody who's like 60, 63,
Right.
64, 65. Do they want somebody who's available now to fly
Yes.
all over the world?
Yes.
Or do they want somebody who's creating enough money that they don't have to pay for anything? And I just can't figure it out. And so I'm just doing what I do. But I really, somebody said to me, well, I want somebody who's available. And I'm like, well, if you told me I never had to work again, I wouldn't. But my husband, I was working full time and he said, if you quit this, you'll never have to work again. And then he got sick and we had to use European solutions. And so I don't have the money I thought I would. So
Right.
I have to work now, which is not something I signed up for really,
Plans.
but
Yeah.
that's life, so I can be very, very busy. And so I don't ever know what to say. I
So
don't,
I have a question for you. Given that scenario, do you think maybe the working is a gift? Because if you didn't have to worry again, what would you be doing? Like, what would your avocation be? What would you do besides, I mean, how much lunch and volunteering can you do?
that's
Right?
one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
So you need to spin it, right? You take
Yeah,
that lemon and turn it into some lemonade. But I do think this is part of your journey, and this might be part of how you find, you know, the relationship you're looking for, because you
exactly.
don't know, right? You're putting it
Exactly.
out there. And I
Exactly.
always tell people, put it out there. If you know anybody that you think would be a good introduction or a good fit for me, I would be very interested, right? And be your own matchmaker.
That's a good idea. I never do that. I never do that. That's a
Well,
pretty,
you should, because you
yeah.
don't know. right?
But there are things that you don't do when you're married that you're busy doing all these other things. And I
Yes,
have a lot of interest in other things now. And so I'm
right.
pursuing all of those things. And I think that's important. My
It
dog,
is.
my dog. Lola,
What, what kind of dog is Lola?
she's a Havanese.
Oh, adorable,
Yeah, she is
adorable.
adorable. The kids made me get her. Ed died on the 7th of December, and they made me get her by the 19th
Ah,
before Christmas. I
a
know.
puppy, right?
And my mother's like, the last thing you need is a dog. And the kids are like, she has to have a dog. She has to have a dog. So I have a dog.
So I think maybe you needed the dog.
I don't know. I have one. I must have needed it. I must have needed it. I am so happy that we got a chance to talk with one another. And I want
Yes.
you to tell everybody what they need to do to get in touch with you.
So the best way to get in touch with me, my email is Kimberly at the Match Pro. But more than anything, I want you to join my database for free. It's thematchpro.com, and you'll hit a button that says join here. I do have events that I do, and I curate my own events so that I can be part of it. And they are really, truly mixers where it's a chance to meet, not a speed dating event where you can just meet people and be with people and create your energy in an authentic way. So check out my events. And if you're going to be in the Sarasota area, which is where I'm focusing right now and building my database and my clientele, I'd love to have you come. And we're doing all sorts of things like that. So it's Kimberly at the Match Pro. My local number is 941-259-1970. And I'd love to chat with you at no charge and tell me Tonja sent you, and
I love
I'll
it.
give you a little conversation.
I love that. I think that's great. It is a delight to see you again. And I'm just so happy for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy you found another thing that you're fabulous at, you know?
Thank you so
It's
much. Thank
just
you.
great. Women are great. I just think it's wonderful. I love
We
that.
need to uplift each other,
Yes, we
not
do.
tear
And
each
I'm
other
so
down.
proud of you. I really, really am.
Oh,
And
thank you. And I'm proud of you. I mean, what a
thanks.
journey you've been on. And,
Yeah.
you're still doing, so well and you look so awesome
Oh,
still.
thanks. You
And
too. You too.
thank you. So I'm thrilled for you. So
Okay. This will
have a
be
great
on
rest of
really
the summer.
soon. God bless you too,
Take
honey.
care. You too.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Thank you so much for watching One Day to Love. I really appreciate your viewership. And if you could like and subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate that. They tell me that I need to have 1,000 subscribers, and I don't yet. I've had way over 1,000 views, but I need subscribers. It doesn't cost anything, and nobody will ping you or bother you if you don't put your notifications on. But it would really help me, and it would keep the show on the air. I love bringing these people into your life and to sharing all these interesting things with you. I've gotten some great comments, but I'm always open for more. I'm just learning how to do all this computer stuff. So I will be getting back to the people that have commented. I did that this morning. And I just wanted to thank you again for supporting me here. I hope you're enjoying. Take care.